Well, good morning. It's Thursday morning, and this morning we are reading from the Revelation to John, chapter 9, verses 1 through 11. And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth, nor any green plant or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them, and their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. And in those days people will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. In appearance, the locusts were like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were what looked like crowns of gold. Their faces were like human faces, their hair like women's hair, and their teeth like lions' teeth. They had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the noise of their wings was like the noise of many chariots with horses rushing into battle. They have tails and stings like scorpions, and their power to hurt people for 5 months is in their tails. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek he is called Apollyon. What in the heck is going on now, right? This is where people go, I don't want to read this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. That's exactly the point. So you're walking down the street and you're carrying your scroll of Revelation, because after all, you're rich enough to have your own scroll. And you're taking it to the gathering of the Christians, and some Roman soldiers stop you and they say, what is that you've got there? Let's check this out, make sure it's not forbidden material. And they start reading, and they're reading this stuff about scorpions and grass and the angel from the bottomless, and they go, move along. This is nonsense stuff. That's exactly the point. It's written in kind of this code so that you can't understand it unless you've got the meaning of the code, the key to the code. Well, what's the key to the code? That's kind of hard to know. But we have a couple of clues there toward the end where he talks about Abaddon and Apollyon. Abaddon's a Hebrew word. Nobody would know a Hebrew word in the ancient world except the Hebrews. But they would all know Greek, and they would recognize Apollyon. Oh, that's kind of like Apollo. Oh, the emperor likes to be called Apollo as though he were a Greek god. Maybe this means that the king is the emperor. Now we're getting somewhere. And so who are these scorpions that look like, with crowns of gold and breastplates and wings that make all this noise? I remember a lecture in seminary, and Dr. Metzger, the kindest man you ever met, was going over all the possibilities, and they were endless, and he had just an encyclopedic knowledge of the ancient world, and he was going over that there could be references to the armies of Parthia, which is ancient Persia, which is sort of Iran, so way out there, beyond the border of the empire, and they might be coming, and these horsemen were terribly feared. And so these scorpions might be a reference to these Parthian enemies that threaten our border. And that would make sense to people in the ancient world. The guy next to me leans over and says, I don't care what he says. I think it's helicopter gunships. And once you get that in your mind, it does kind of sound like helicopters, with shooting out the back of their helicopter. But whatever it refers to is some sort of enemy that's coming on the people. And why is it coming? This is a woe, remember, and it's coming because the people have sinned. And so this is God's punishment for 5 months. They won't be able to die, so it won't kill you, but it'll be very, very difficult and very painful and very upsetting. And you don't want to be around for that stuff, right? So I've heard people say even today, a couple days ago, that, well, I don't want to be around for any of that stuff, but praise Jesus, he's going to come back and take me away, and I won't be here for any of this terrible stuff that's coming. And I'm thinking, that is not what it means, I don't think, but okay. We are in a period in our culture where we have reached what some people call the end of Christendom. You know, the period before us was a very long period in which Christianity in the Western world was simply assumed. Everybody was a Christian because if you were born in America, if you were born in Europe, you were a Christian, and that's how it was. Even if you didn't practice your faith, you were still Christian, and Christianity's sort of undergirds everything that we know and talk about in our daily lives. And so that is all broken down now. And there are many, many people out there who've never heard the Christian story and who, don't ever read the comments on the internet. But if you do, you're going to see comments where people say, oh, all you people that believe in fairy stories about some dead God, y'all are crazy. And that's the way Christianity is portrayed among a huge percentage of our people. And so we've reached the end of Christendom, which doesn't mean we've reached the end of history or the end of time or any of that. But it means that there are rapid and major changes going on in the world over this decade or so. And so the church finds itself in a whole new position. All of a sudden, the church is like, what do we do now? Because the church has enjoyed this position of tax exemption and a different church on every corner and a different brand of Christianity. And some of them are so similar that, you can't even tell the difference. But we're loyal to our flavor, to our brand. And so some of us are Methodist and some of us are Presbyterian and some of us are Roman Catholic. But, there's all this loyalty. And all of that is ending. And so, they start talking about, well, we have to tax the churches. Look at these rich guys running around, Joel Osteen running around with all his jet planes and mansions. He should be taxed. And I think he should be. But if you start taxing churches, you're going to drive a lot of little churches out of business. And that's the plain fact of it. So, so we've reached the end of Christendom, which means that what's coming next? We don't know. Whatever comes next, and however different it is from the way it was 50 years ago, God is still God. God is still in control, and God will see us through it. God will be with us no matter how difficult and weird and wild it is. For those of us who grew up with Christian faith as the faith that everybody shares, even if they don't really believe it, this is going to be a very, very difficult transition. But, hang on to your hat. God is in control. God is with you. God is not going to abandon you. End of sermon. Okay, we will continue tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Have a great day.